A wedding venue inspection turns into a nightmare when Anna Miller's car crashes on a stormy country road. Rescued by the enigmatic Jacob Stone, she recovers on his secluded farm until she discovers he's hiding from a deadly past. But now, so is she. Before we dive in, comment below where in the world you're watching from today. Anna Miller gripped the steering wheel tightly as rain pounded against her windshield. The country road stretched endlessly before her, dark and winding through unfamiliar farmland. She squinted, struggling to make out the road ahead. Just a few more miles, she muttered to herself, checking the GPS on her phone one more time. The wedding venue she was supposed to inspect for her cousin's upcoming ceremony was somewhere out here in the middle of nowhere. Lightning flashed, illuminating the road for a brief second. Hannah gasped as she spotted a fallen tree branch directly in her path. She swerved sharply, but the wet road offered no traction. Her car spun wildly, tires screeching as she lost control. The last thing Anna remembered was the terrifying sensation of her car rolling, the shattering of glass, and then darkness. The first thing Anna noticed was the warmth. Soft blankets covered her body, and sunlight streamed through half-drawn curtains. This wasn't a hospital. The room was cozy, with wooden beams crossing the ceiling and simple country furnishings. Her head throbbed painfully as she tried to sit. "Up, easy now," a deep voice said from the doorway. "You took quite a hit to your head." Anna turned to see a man standing there, holding a tray with what looked like tea and toast. He was tall, with broad shoulders, and a face weathered by the sun. Dark hair fell across his forehead, and his eyes, a striking shade of blue, watched her with concern. He looked to be in his early 40s, dressed in a simple flannel shirt and worn jeans. "Where am I?" Anna asked, her voice hoarse. "What happened?" The man set the tray down on a bedside table and helped her adjust her pillows. "You had an accident on Miller's Road last night. I found your car wrapped around a tree. You're lucky to be alive." His voice was soft but gruff, as if he wasn't used to speaking much. "You saved me." He nodded once. "Name's Jacob. Jacob Stone. You're at my farm, about 15 miles from the nearest town. Roads were washed out from the storm and you needed help right away. I've got some medical training." Anna's hand went to her head, feeling the bandage there. She also noticed her arm was wrapped in a makeshift splint. "My car?" "Total loss, I'm afraid," Jacob said, pouring her a cup of tea. "Phone lines are down from the storm too, and cell service out here is spotty at best. I'll take you into town once the road's clear." Anna took the tea with her good hand, studying him. There was something guarded about Jacob Stone, something in the way his eyes never quite met hers for long. "I'm Anna Miller. Thank you for saving my life." Jacob simply nodded again. "Drink your tea. You need to rest." As he turned to leave, Anna called out, "Wait, how long have I been here?" "Just since last night," he answered, pausing at the doorway. "Storm's supposed to clear by tomorrow. I'll help you get in touch with your family then." After he left, Anna took a sip of tea, wincing at the pain in her ribs. She looked around the room more carefully. It was simple but clean, with handmade quilts and sturdy wooden furniture. Through the window, she could see fields stretching. Into the distance, a red barn and a few scattered outbuildings. It was a quintessential American farm, peaceful and isolated, but something felt off about the situation. Why hadn't Jacob taken her to a hospital? And why did he seem so secretive? Over the next 2 days, Anna grew stronger. Jacob brought her meals regularly and changed her bandages with expert care. His hands were calloused from farm work, but surprisingly gentle. He spoke little, answering her questions with short, direct responses that revealed almost nothing about himself. On the third morning, Anna felt well enough to venture out of bed. She found a robe hanging on the back of the door and slipped it on over the oversized t-shirt and sweatpants someone had dressed her in. The thought made her blush. Had Jacob done that? She made her way slowly down a narrow staircase, each step sending a jolt of pain through her bruised body. The farmhouse was just as she had imagined it might be, rustic and homey, with worn but well-kept furniture and simple decorations. It smelled of fresh bread and coffee. In the kitchen, she found Jacob kneading dough on a flour-covered countertop. He looked up, surprised to see her. You shouldn't be up yet, he said, quickly wiping his hands on a towel. I was going crazy in that room, Anna admitted, and I wanted to thank you properly. Jacob gestured to a chair at the kitchen table. Sit before you fall over. Anna did as she was told, grateful to take the weight off her shaky legs. You make your own bread? Jacob nodded, returning to his dough. Make most things myself. It's a beautiful farm, Anna said, looking out the window at the sun-drenched fields. Have you lived here long? There it was again, that slight hesitation before he answered. Few years. Alone? Jacob's hands stilled for just a moment. Yes. Then, changing the subject. Roads should be clear enough today. I can drive you into town after lunch. Anna watched him work, the way his strong hands shaped the dough with practiced motions. There was something soothing about him, despite his obvious desire to keep her at arm's length. I don't even know where town is, Anna said. I'm not from around here. Riverdale, Jacob answered. Small place, but they've got a sheriff's office and a clinic. They can help you contact your family. I was supposed to be checking out a wedding venue for my cousin, Anna explained. The Golden Meadow Farm, do you know it? Jacob's expression darkened slightly. Other side of the county. They'll have assumed you weren't coming because of the storm. Anna sighed. My phone was in the car. My purse too, I think. I retrieved what I could, Jacob said, nodding toward a small box on the counter. Phone was smashed, found your wallet and some other things. Anna felt a wave of gratitude. You really did think of everything. Jacob just shrugged, just did what needed doing. After a lunch of homemade bread and vegetable soup, Jacob led Anna to an old blue pickup truck. Every movement still hurt, but Anna was determined not to show weakness. Something about Jacob made her want to appear stronger than she felt. The drive into town was mostly silent. Jacob kept his eyes on the road, occasionally pointing out landmarks. A creek that had overflowed its banks during the storm, a neighboring farm in the distance, the turnoff to the main highway. Riverdale turned out to be exactly what Anna had pictured. A small town with a main street lined with brick buildings, a few shops, a diner, and not much else. People on the sidewalk turned to look as Jacob's truck rumbled past. Not many strangers come through? Anna asked. Not many, Jacob agreed, pulling up in front of a building marked Sheriff's Office. Before they could get out, an older woman rushed from the diner across the street, waving frantically. Jacob tensed beside her. Oh Lord, it's Mabel, he muttered. The woman reached the truck, her face flushed with excitement. Jacob Stone! Haven't seen you in town in months. Her gaze shifted to Anna, eyes widening. And who might this be? This is Anna, Jacob said stiffly. She had a car accident near my place. I'm helping her get home. Mabel's eyes lit up with undisguised curiosity. An accident? My goodness. Are you all right, dear? I'm okay, thanks to Jacob, Anna said, offering a smile. Well, isn't that something? Mabel said, giving Jacob a look that Anna couldn't quite interpret. Our Jacob playing the hero. Jacob opened his door. Need to get Anna to the sheriff, Mabel. Her family will be worried. Of course, Mabel said, stepping back. But she called after them as they walked toward the sheriff's office. You should bring your friend to the diner before you leave town, Jacob. My treat. Inside the sheriff's office, a middle-aged man in uniform looked up from his desk, surprise evident on his face. Jacob Stone, he said, standing. Twice in 1 year. Must be some kind of record. Jacob nodded curtly. Sheriff Davis, this is Anna Miller. She wrecked her car out by Miller's Creek during the storm. She needs to contact her family. Sheriff Davis turned kind eyes to Anna. Sorry to hear about your accident, Miss Miller. Where are you from? Chicago, Anna answered. I was supposed to be meeting someone at Golden Meadow Farm, but I got lost in the storm. The sheriff nodded. We can help you get in touch with your folks, and I'll need to file a report about that accident. He glanced at Jacob. You found her? Yes, Jacob said simply. Something passed between the two men. An unspoken communication that Anna couldn't decipher. The sheriff cleared his throat. Well, why don't you use our phone, Miss Miller? Then we can sort out the rest. Anna's sister, Catherine, nearly burst into tears when Anna finally got her on the phone. After assuring her that she was okay and explaining what had happened, Catherine insisted on driving out to get her. "It's a 4-hour drive, Kat," Anna protested. "I can probably rent a car or something." "Don't be ridiculous," Catherine said firmly. "I'll leave right now. Just text me the address of where you're staying." When Anna explained that her phone was destroyed, Sheriff Davis offered her the use of the department's landline phone number for Catherine to call when she arrived in town. Throughout all this, Jacob stood silently by the wall, arms crossed. When Anna finished her call, she turned to him uncertainly. "My sister's coming to get me, but she won't be here until tonight." Jacob nodded. "We can wait in town." Sheriff Davis cleared his throat. "Maybe you could show Miss Miller around a bit." "Jacob, Riverdale's not much, but it's got its charms." Jacob looked like he wanted to refuse, but he simply nodded again. "If you're feeling up to it," he said to Anna. "Actually, I'm starving," Anna admitted. "That woman mentioned a diner." A ghost of a smile touched Jacob's lips. "Mabel's place. Best pie in the county, if you believe the sign. Shouts to endure Mabel's Diner was exactly what a small-town diner should be. Checkered floors, vinyl booths, and the smell of coffee and fried food hanging in the air. The moment they walked in, conversation halted briefly before resuming in hushed tones. Mabel herself swooped down on them, ushering them to a booth by the window. "I saved you the best seat in the house," she said cheerfully. "Now, what can I get you to?" After they ordered coffee and apple pie for both, Mabel lingered, clearly hungry for information. "So, Anna, where are you from? How'd you end up in our little corner of nowhere?" Before Anna could answer, the bell above the door jingled and a well-dressed older man entered. Jacob's posture immediately stiffened. "Mr. Blackwood," Mabel greeted, her tone noticeably cooler. "Your usual." The man, tall, silver-haired, and imposing, nodded distractedly, his eyes fixed on Jacob and Anna. After a moment, he approached their table. "Jacob," he said, his voice smooth as silk but somehow menacing. "Rare to see you in town." Jacob's face was expressionless. "Mr. Blackwood." The older man turned his attention to Anna, looking her up and down in a way that made her uncomfortable. "And who might this be?" "Anna Miller," she answered when Jacob remained silent. "I'm just passing through." "Richard Blackwood," he said, extending a hand which Anna reluctantly shook. "I own most of the farmland in this county, including the property adjacent to Jacob's little operation." The way he said it made it sound like an insult. Jacob's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. "Miss Miller had a car accident," Mabel interjected, setting down their coffee cups with a clatter. "Jacob here saved her life." Blackwood raised an eyebrow. "Did he now? How heroic!" His eyes narrowed as he studied Jacob. "Always full of surprises, aren't you, Stone?" The tension between the two men was palpable. Anna shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "Your coffee's getting cold at the counter, Mr. Blackwood," Mabel said pointedly. With a tight smile, Blackwood inclined his head. "Good day, Miss Miller. Jacob." He leaned closer to Jacob before turning away. "We still have unfinished business, you and I." After he walked away, Anna let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "What was that about?" Jacob took a sip of his coffee, his expression unreadable. "Blackwood wants my land, has for years." "Why?" Jacob shrugged. "He collects farms like some people collect stamps." Mabel returned with their pie, setting it down, with a flourish. "Don't you mind Richard Blackwood," she said in a low voice. "He thinks he owns this town." "Doesn't he?" Jacob muttered. Mabel waved a dismissive hand. "He may own half the land, but he doesn't own the people." She winked at Anna. "Though, he's tried to buy plenty of them too." After Mabel left, Anna took a bite of her pie, which was indeed delicious. "So," she said carefully, "you and Blackwood are enemies?" Jacob's eyes met hers, and for the first time, she saw a flicker of something behind his guarded expression, anger perhaps, or pain, something like that. "And the rest of the town? Where do they stand?" Jacob looked out the window. "Blackwood provides most of the jobs around here. People do what they have to. But not you," Anna observed. A hint of a smile touched Jacob's lips. "No, not me." As they ate their pie, Anna became aware of the glances being cast their way from around the diner. People were whispering, some not very subtly. "I think we're the main attraction," she murmured. Jacob grimaced. Small towns. Nothing stays private for long. Is that why you live so far out? Anna asked. Jacob's eyes met hers again, searching. One reason. Before Anna could ask more, the diner door opened again, and a young woman rushed in, making a beeline for their table. She was pretty, with honey blonde hair and bright eyes, dressed in a nurse's scrubs. "Jacob," she exclaimed, "I just heard what happened." She turned to Anna, concern etched on her face. "Are you okay? I'm Sarah, the nurse at our local clinic. I would have come to check on you if I'd known." "I'm fine, really," Anna assured her. "Jacob took good care of me." Sarah smiled warmly at Jacob, who actually looked embarrassed. "He would. He's got a gift for healing things." She touched his shoulder lightly. "It's good to see you, Jacob. You shouldn't be such a stranger." The affection in Sarah's voice was unmistakable, and Anna felt an unexpected twinge of something. Jealousy? That was ridiculous. She barely knew Jacob. "I should get back to the clinic," Sarah said, glancing at her watch. "But if you need anything at all, please come by." This last part was directed at Jacob, who nodded. "Thanks, Sarah." After she left, Anna raised an eyebrow. "Friend of yours?" Jacob shifted uncomfortably. "Sarah's father was the local doctor. He helped me out once. Sarah took over the clinic after he passed. She seems nice," Anna said carefully, watching his reaction. "She is," Jacob agreed, his tone giving nothing away. The rest of the afternoon passed with Jacob showing Anna around. The small town, the library, the town square with its old-fashioned gazebo, the small museum dedicated to local history. Throughout it all, they attracted curious stares and whispers. "You'd think they'd never seen visitors before," Anna commented as they walked back toward the sheriff's office. "It's not you they're curious about," Jacob said quietly. "It's seeing me with someone. You really don't come to town much, do you?" Jacob shook his head. "No need. My farm is self-sufficient for the most part." As the sun began to set, they waited on a bench outside the sheriff's office for Catherine to arrive. Jacob was even quieter than usual, his eyes distant. "Thank you," Anna said suddenly, "for everything." Jacob looked at her, really looked at her for what felt like the first time. Anyone would have done the same. "No," Anna disagreed. "They wouldn't have. You saved my life, Jacob. I won't forget that." A car pulled up, a rental by the looks of it, and a woman who could only be Anna's sister jumped out, rushing toward them. "Anna!" Catherine cried, hugging her carefully. "Oh my God, I was so worried." As the sisters reunited, Jacob stood awkwardly to the side. Catherine finally turned to him, tears in her eyes. "You must be Jacob. The sheriff told me what you did. Thank you for saving my sister." Jacob nodded uncomfortably. "Just glad I was there." After gathering Anna's few belongings from the sheriff's office, it was time to leave. Catherine went to start the car, giving Anna a moment alone with Jacob. "So," Anna said, suddenly feeling strangely reluctant to leave, "this is goodbye." Jacob nodded, his eyes on the ground. "Take care of yourself, Anna Miller." Anna pulled a small notepad from her purse and scribbled down her number. "If you ever get a phone or come to Chicago." She held out the paper. Jacob hesitated before taking it, tucking it into his shirt pocket. "Goodbye, Anna." As Catherine drove them away from Riverdale, Anna watched through the rearview mirror as Jacob's figure grew smaller, standing alone in the fading light. "He seems intense," Catherine commented. "The whole town was buzzing about you two when I stopped for gas. Apparently that guy never socializes with anyone." Anna raised an eyebrow. "You were there for all of 10 minutes and already got the town gossip?" Catherine grinned. "The gas station attendant was very informative. Said Jacob Stone showed up in town about 3 years ago, bought that rundown farm with cash and barely speaks to anyone. They say he only comes to town for supplies once a month." "Did they say anything else?" Anna asked, trying to sound casual. Catherine gave her a knowing look. "They said no one knows where he came from or what he did before. Some people think he's hiding from something or someone." She glanced at her sister. "Very mysterious, very romantic." "It's not like that," Anna protested. "Uh-huh," Catherine said skeptically. "The gas station guy also mentioned that you're the first person who's ever stayed at Jacob's farm. Ever." Anna looked out the window at the darkening countryside, thinking about Jacob's guarded eyes, his gentle hands, and the secrets he so clearly kept. "He saved my life," she said softly. "But I think there's more to the story than that." As they drove toward the highway that would take them back to Chicago, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that she was leaving something important behind, something she wasn't ready to let go of just yet. 2 weeks after returning to Chicago, Anna couldn't stop thinking about Jacob Stone. Her bruises were healing, her arm was in a proper cast now, and she'd given her statement to her insurance company about the accident. Life should have been getting back to normal, but normal felt different now. Anna stared out the window of her downtown apartment, watching the city bustle below. The phone call she'd just finished with her cousin Melissa replayed in her mind. "So, you never made it to Golden Meadow Farm?" Melissa had asked. "No," Anna admitted, "but I can reschedule the visit." "Actually," Melissa said hesitantly, "we decided on a different venue. Mr. Blackwood, the owner, called me personally to apologize for the miscommunication during the storm, but something felt off about him. Too slick, you know." Anna had nearly dropped the phone at the mention of Blackwood's name. "Richard Blackwood, tall man, silver hair, kind of intimidating. You know him?" "We met briefly," Anna said, her mind racing. "He owns Golden Meadow Farm, and half the county apparently," Melissa replied. "Anyway, we're going with a venue in Lake Geneva instead." Now, as Anna gazed at the Chicago skyline, she couldn't shake the feeling that fate was nudging her. She'd already taken 2 weeks off, work to recover from her injuries. Her arm would be in a cast for another month at least, and her boss had practically ordered her to take more time if she needed it. Before she could talk herself out of it, Anna picked up her phone and called Catherine. "I think I need to go back to Riverdale," she said, without preamble. Catherine was silent for a moment because of the mysterious farmer. "Partly," Anna admitted, "but also, yeah, I don't know, Kat. I feel like there's unfinished business there, like I left too quickly." "You mean you want to know more about him?" Catherine said knowingly. Anna sighed. "Is that crazy? I barely know the man." "He did save your life," Catherine said. "And you've always had a thing for the strong, silent type." "It's not just that," Anna insisted. "There's something about Jacob and the town and that man Blackwood. Something doesn't add up. So what are you going to do? Just show up at his farm?" Anna smiled to herself. "I'm going to thank him properly and maybe solve a mystery while I'm at it." 2 days later, Anna pulled her rental car into the small parking lot of the Riverdale Inn, a quaint bed and breakfast on the edge of town. She'd driven past Jacob's turnoff on the way, her heart racing as she recognized the winding road that had brought her into his life. The inn was run by an elderly couple, the Hendersons, who welcomed her warmly but couldn't hide their curiosity. "Just passing through?" Mrs. Henderson asked as she showed Anna to her room. "Actually, I was here a couple weeks ago," Anna explained. "I had a car accident during the storm, and Jacob Stone helped me." Mrs. Henderson's eyes widened. "You're the city girl who stayed at Jacob's farm? My goodness, everyone's been talking about that." Anna couldn't help but smile. "Small towns. Jacob's a good man," Mrs. Henderson said firmly. "Keeps to himself, but always willing to lend a hand when needed. Saved our grandson's dog once when it got caught in a trap on Blackwood's property." She lowered her voice. "Not that anyone could prove whose trap it was, mind you." "I owe him my life," Anna said. "I wanted to thank him properly." Mrs. Henderson patted her hand. "Well, you're welcome here as long as you like, dear. Dinner's at 6 and there's fresh coffee in the morning." After settling in, Anna decided to head to Mabel's diner for lunch. The bell jingled as she entered, and just like before, conversations halted briefly before resuming in excited whispers. Mabel herself nearly dropped a coffee pot when she spotted Anna. "Well, I'll be," she exclaimed, hurrying over. "Look who's back in Riverdale. Anna, wasn't it?" Anna smiled. "That's right, I thought I'd come back for a proper visit now that I'm not half dead." Mabel ushered her to a booth, the same one she'd shared with Jacob. "We've been wondering if we'd see you again," she said with a knowing smile. "Jacob's farm is about 5 miles east of town, if you're looking for directions." Anna felt her cheeks warm. "Actually, I was hoping to find out a bit more about the town first. I was in and out so quickly before." "Well, you've come to the right place," Mabel said, pouring her a cup of coffee. What would you like to know? Tell me about Richard Blackwood, Anna said, watching Mabel's reaction carefully. The older woman's smile faded slightly. What's to tell? He's rich, powerful, and owns most of the good farmland around here. Came from money, married into more, and hasn't stopped grabbing for it since his wife passed. How long has he lived here? Oh, the Blackwoods have been in Riverdale for generations, Mabel said. Old money. Richard's father was hard but fair. Richard, well, he's just hard. And Jacob? Anna asked, trying to sound casual. How long? Has he been here? Mabel's eyes twinkled with interest. About 3 years now. Showed up out of nowhere. Bought the old Miller place. No relation to you, I assume? Anna shook her head. Paid cash. Fixed up the house himself. Keeps to himself. But he's always been decent. Helps out when there's trouble, like with your accident. Do you know where he came from before Riverdale? Mabel leaned in, lowering her voice. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Some say he was in the military. Others think he was some kind of doctor. He certainly knows his way around. Injuries, as you found out. But Jacob himself never says a word about his past. The bell above the door jingled again, and Sarah, the nurse, walked in. She spotted Anna immediately and came over, her face lighting up. Anna, you're back, she said warmly. How are you feeling? Much better, thanks, Anna replied, gesturing for Sarah to join her. Just some follow-up care for my arm. Sarah nodded, approvingly at Anna's cast. That looks well set. Did you see a specialist in Chicago? Yes, at Northwestern Memorial, Anna said. One of the best, Sarah agreed. Jacob will be glad to know you're doing well. Anna hesitated. I was thinking of stopping by to thank him, actually. Something flickered in Sarah's eyes. Concern, perhaps. That's kind of you. Jacob doesn't get many visitors. So I've heard, Anna said carefully. You two seem close. Sarah smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. We've known each other since he moved here. My father, he helped Jacob through a tough time when he first arrived. What kind of tough time? Anna asked. Sarah hesitated. It's not really my story to tell, but Jacob had been through something traumatic. Dad helped him heal, at least physically. The way she emphasized physically made Anna wonder what other kinds of healing Jacob might have needed. You care about him, Anna observed. Sarah met her gaze directly. I do, very much, and I worry about him all alone out there. She glanced at her watch. I should get back to the clinic. It was good seeing you again, Anna. After Sarah left, Mabel returned with a sandwich for Anna. I saw you talking with Sarah, she said, setting the plate down. Sweet girl. Been half in love with Jacob since he arrived. And Jacob? Anna couldn't help asking. How does he feel? Mabel shrugged. Hard. To tell with that one. He's always kind to her, but she shook her head. Some men just aren't ready to let anyone in, especially men with secrets. After lunch, Anna decided to visit the local library. If she wanted to learn more about Jacob and Riverdale, it seemed like a good place to start. The library was small but charming, with wooden shelves and large windows that let in plenty of sunlight. An older woman with glasses perched on her nose looked up from the desk as Anna entered. Good afternoon, she said. I'm Mrs. Porter, the librarian. Can I help you find something? I'm interested in local history, Anna said, especially about the farms around here. Mrs. Porter's eyes lit up. Local history is my specialty. We have several books on Riverdale's founding and development. She led Anna to a shelf in the back. Are you looking for anything in particular? I'm staying at Jacob Stone's old farm, Anna said, stretching the truth a bit. I'd love to know more about its history. If Mrs. Porter found this odd, she didn't show it. The Miller farm. It was one of the original homesteads in the area. Let me see. She pulled out a large book bound in faded red leather. This has maps and ownership records of all the major properties dating back to the 1800s. Anna spent the next hour poring over old maps and records. The Miller farm, she discovered, had been in the same family for generations until about 10 years ago, when it was sold to a development company called Blackwood Enterprises. Then, 3 years ago, it was purchased by Jacob Stone. What caught Anna's attention was the price. Jacob had paid nearly twice its market value, according to the records. Was the farm particularly valuable for some reason? Anna asked Mrs. Porter. The librarian adjusted her glasses. Not especially. Good water rights, I suppose, but it had fallen into disrepair after the Millers sold it. Blackwood Enterprises. Let it sit empty for years. Then why would Jacob pay so much for it? Mrs. Porter smiled mysteriously. Perhaps he really wanted it. Or perhaps Mr. Blackwood didn't want to sell. They say Jacob insisted, offered cash on the spot. As Anna was about to leave, Mrs. Porter called her back. If you're interested in the Miller farm, you might want to look at these old newspaper archives. They're digitized now, thankfully. Anna sat at the computer Mrs. Porter indicated and began searching. She found nothing about Jacob directly, but there was an interesting article from 3 years ago about a dispute between Richard Blackwood and an unnamed buyer over the sale of the Miller property. According to the article, Blackwood had planned to develop the land for luxury homes, but suddenly sold it to a private buyer instead. Another article, dated just 6 months ago, mentioned a water rights dispute between Blackwood and neighboring property owners, with Jacob Stone named specifically as leading the opposition to Blackwood's attempt to divert the creek that ran through several farms, including his own. Anna was so engrossed in her research that she didn't notice someone approaching until a shadow fell across the computer screen. She looked up to find Richard Blackwood himself standing there, impeccably dressed in what appeared to be a custom suit. "Miss Miller," he said smoothly, "I heard you'd returned to our little town." Anna tried not to show her surprise. "Mr. Blackwood, news travels fast." He smiled, though it didn't reach his eyes. "It's a small community. We take an interest in our visitors." He glanced at the screen. "Researching local history?" Anna closed the browser window. "Just curious about the area." "I understand you're planning to visit Jacob Stone again," Blackwood said, his tone casual but his eyes sharp. "Word really does get around," Anna said, standing to face him. "Yes, I wanted to thank him properly for saving my life." Blackwood's expression was unreadable. "Noble of you, but I feel I should warn you, Miss Miller. Jacob Stone is not what he appears to be." Hannah raised an eyebrow. "What does that mean?" "It means," Blackwood said, leaning closer, "that the man has secrets. Dangerous ones. No one knows who he really is or where he came from." "And you're concerned for my safety?" Anna asked skeptically. Blackwood smiled again, cold and calculating. "Let's just say I'd hate to see another accident." Before Anna could respond, Mrs. Porter appeared at her side. "Mr. Blackwood," she said coolly, "I didn't realize you'd developed an interest in our library." The tension between them was obvious. Blackwood straightened, adjusting his tie. "Just greeting our visitor, Elaine. Always good to see new faces in Riverdale." With a nod to Anna, he turned and walked out. Mrs. Porter watched him go, her expression troubled. "Be careful of that one," she said quietly to Anna. "Richard Blackwood doesn't do anything without a reason." By late afternoon, Anna had made up her mind. She couldn't wait any longer. She needed to see Jacob. After getting precise directions from Mrs. Henderson, she set out in her rental car, following the now familiar country road that led to Jacob's farm. The day was clear and sunny, so different from the stormy night of her accident. As she drove, Anna tried to sort through everything she'd learned. Jacob had deliberately sought out this specific farm, paying well over market value. He had opposed Blackwood on the water rights issue, and he clearly had a past that he kept, hidden from everyone. At last, she turned onto the gravel driveway that led to Jacob's farmhouse. The property looked different in the daylight, more welcoming, with fields of corn stretching on one side and what looked like an orchard on the other. The red barn she'd glimpsed from her window stood tall and sturdy, freshly painted. As she parked beside Jacob's blue pickup truck, Anna felt a flutter of nervousness. What if he didn't want to see her? What if he turned her away? Before she could knock, the front door opened, and Jacob stood there looking just as she remembered, tall, rugged, those striking blue eyes widening in surprise at the sight of her. "Anna?" he said, as if not quite believing his eyes. She smiled, suddenly feeling shy. "Hello, Jacob." For a long moment he just stared at her. Then he seemed to remember himself and stepped back. "Come in." The farmhouse was just as cozy as she remembered, but in daylight, she noticed details she'd missed before. The quality of the furnishings, the beautiful woodwork, the expensive-looking appliances in the kitchen. This was not the home of a struggling farmer. "You're looking better," Jacob said, his eyes taking in her healing bruises and the cast on her arm. "Thanks to you," Anna replied. "That's why I came back, to thank you properly." Jacob shifted uncomfortably. "No need for that." "There is," Anna insisted. "You saved my life, Jacob, and then I just left. It didn't feel right." Jacob gestured for her to sit at the kitchen table, the same place where she'd watched him knead bread. "Coffee?" Anna nodded, and Jacob moved to the stove, his back to her as he worked the expensive-looking espresso machine, another item that seemed out of place in a simple farmhouse. "How long are you staying in Riverdale?" he asked, his back still turned. "I'm not sure," Anna admitted. "I've taken some time off work to recover. I'm staying at the Henderson's Inn." Jacob placed a mug of rich aromatic coffee in front of her and sat down across the table. "The Hendersons are good people." "I've been meeting quite a few of the locals," Anna said casually. "Everyone has a story about you." Jacob's expression remained neutral, but his knuckles whitened around his own mug. "Small towns love their gossip. They say you showed up 3 years ago, bought this place with cash and keep to yourself," Anna continued. "They wonder where you came from, what you did before. Does it matter?" Jacob asked quietly. Anna met his gaze. "I think it might, especially when Richard Blackwood goes out of his way to warn me about you." Jacob's expression darkened. "You've spoken with Blackwood. He found me at the library," Anna explained. "Said you weren't what you appeared to be, that you have secrets, dangerous ones." Jacob stood abruptly, moving to the window to stare out at his fields. "And what do you think?" Anna joined him at the window, standing close enough to smell the clean scent of his soap and something distinctly him, earthy and warm. "I think that whatever secrets you're keeping, you're not a dangerous man, at least not to me." Jacob turned to face her, and Anna was struck by the pain in his eyes. "You don't know me, Anna." "I'd like to," she said softly. For a brief moment, something flickered in Jacob's expression, longing perhaps, but he stepped back, putting distance between them. "Why did you really come back?" he asked. Anna took a deep breath. "Because I couldn't stop thinking about you, about this place, about the way everyone in town talks about you like you're some kind of mystery to be solved." "And you want to solve me?" There was a hint of bitterness in his voice. "No," Anna said honestly. "I want to understand you." Jacob was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was low. "I've worked hard to build a quiet life here, Anna. I don't want complications." "Am I a complication?" Anna asked, trying to ignore the sting of his words. Before Jacob could answer, the sound of a car engine came from outside. Jacob moved quickly to the window, his posture instantly alert. "Stay here," he ordered, heading for the door. Anna ignored him, following close behind. Through the window, she saw a sleek black car pull up beside her rental. 2 men in dark suits stepped out. Jacob cursed under his breath. "Go back inside, Anna." "Who are they?" she demanded. "Trouble," Jacob said grimly, reaching into a drawer and pulling out something that made Anna's blood run cold. A gun. He tucked it into the back of his jeans, concealing it under his shirt. "Stay inside, lock the door, and don't come out until I tell you it's safe." The calm, competent way he handled the weapon told Anna this wasn't the first time Jacob had held a gun. This wasn't the behavior of a simple farmer. "Jacob, what's going on?" she asked, fear creeping into her voice. His eyes met hers, and in them she saw a glimpse of the man behind the mask. A man haunted by something. A man who had seen things she couldn't imagine. "I'm sorry you got caught up in this," he said, softly. "Whatever happens, remember, Blackwood isn't what he seems either." With that cryptic warning, Jacob stepped outside to meet the men approaching his door, closing it firmly behind him. Anna moved to the window, watching as Jacob greeted the men with obvious tension. One of them handed him an envelope, which he took reluctantly. Anna couldn't hear what they were saying, but the body language was clear. This was no friendly visit. After a brief conversation, the men got back in their car and drove away. Jacob stood watching them go, the envelope clutched in his hand. When he came back inside, his face was grim. "Who were they?" Anna demanded. "And why do you have a gun?" Jacob ran a hand through his hair, looking suddenly tired. "It's complicated." "Uncomplicate it," Anna insisted. "Because I'm not leaving until you tell me what's going on." Jacob studied her for a long moment, as if weighing his options. Finally, he sighed. "You should sit down for this." They returned to the kitchen table, and Jacob placed the envelope between them, unopened. 3 years ago, he began slowly, I was living a very different life. I was successful, wealthy, powerful in certain circles. Hannah listened intently, hardly daring to breathe for fear he would stop talking. "I made enemies," Jacob continued, "dangerous ones. There was an incident. People died. I barely escaped with my life." "What kind of incident?" Anna asked quietly. Jacob's eyes were distant. "The kind that makes you realize everything you've built your life around is a lie." He tapped the envelope. "I've been hiding ever since, but they've never stopped looking. And now they've found me." "Who are they?" Anna asked. Jacob looked at her directly. "The same people Blackwood works for." Anna felt a chill run through her. "And who is that exactly?" "People you don't want to know," Jacob said grimly. "People who would kill to keep their secrets." "And Blackwood? What's his role in all this?" Jacob's expression hardened. "He's their eyes and ears in this region, has been for years. When I bought this farm, which sits on land they wanted, I made myself a target." "Why would you do that?" Anna asked, confused. "If you were hiding, why draw attention to yourself?" Jacob was silent for a moment. "Because this land holds something they want very badly, something I couldn't let them have." "What?" Jacob studied her face as if deciding whether to trust her. "Evidence," he said finally. "Evidence that could bring down their entire operation." "What kind of evidence? Records, names, transactions. Enough to put a lot of powerful people away for a very long time." Anna tried to process this information. "So you're what? A whistleblower? A witness?" Jacob's smile was grim. "Something like that. And these men who just came..." Anna began. "A warning," Jacob said, picking up the envelope and tearing it open. Inside was a single photograph of Anna taken earlier that day as she entered the Riverdale Inn. On the back, written in block letters, were the words, "She doesn't have to be involved." Jacob's face paled as he showed Anna the photo. "This is why you need to leave, Anna. Go back to Chicago. Forget you ever met me." But Anna shook her head, a strange calm settling over her, despite the fear curling in her stomach. "No." Jacob looked at her in disbelief. "No? Did you not understand what I just told you? These people will hurt you to get to me." "I understand perfectly," Anna said, reaching across the table to take his hand. "But I'm not going to run away. Not when you need help." Jacob's hand was warm in hers, calloused from farm work, but still, bearing the subtle signs of his former life. Well-kept nails, the faded tan line of an expensive watch. "Why?" he asked, genuine confusion in his voice. "Why would you risk yourself for someone you barely know?" Anna smiled softly. "Because you risked everything for me when I was a stranger, and because..." She hesitated, then continued, "Because I think you're a good man, Jacob Stone, whatever your real name is." Something shifted in Jacob's expression, the carefully maintained wall beginning to crumble. "My real name is Jason," he said quietly. "Jason Everett." "Jason?" Anna repeated, feeling like she was finally meeting the real man behind the mask. "It's nice to meet you." For the first time since she'd known him, Jason, laughed, a genuine sound that transformed his face. "You're unlike anyone I've ever met, Anna Miller. Is that a good thing?" she asked. Jason's eyes held hers, and the intensity in them made her breath catch. "I'm starting to think it might be." The moment stretched between them, filled with unspoken possibilities. Then the sound of another vehicle on the gravel driveway broke the spell. Jason was immediately on alert again, moving to the window. "It's Sarah?" he said, sounding relieved but also wary. Anna felt a pang of something that might have been jealousy. "Does she come here often?" Jason glanced at her. "Once a week or so. Brings medical supplies. Checks on me." Before Anna could respond, there was a knock at the door. Jason opened it to reveal Sarah, medical bag in hand, looking surprised to see Anna. "Anna, I didn't realize you were here," she said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "I just came for Jason's weekly checkup." Anna blinked at the use of his real name. "You know?" Sarah nodded. "My father knew everything. He passed that trust to me." She looked between them, noticing their closeness. "I can come back another time if this is a bad moment." "No need," Jason said, stepping back to let her in. "Come in, Sarah. Anna knows." "Some of it now." Sarah's gaze sharpened. "How much?" "Enough to put her in danger," Jason replied grimly. "Men came by earlier. They left a message." Sarah paled. "They found you after all this time?" Jason nodded, showing her the photograph. Sarah examined it, her expression grim. "This changes everything." "I know," Jason agreed. "Anna needs to leave. Today." "I already told you I'm not going." "Anywhere," Anna said firmly. Sarah looked at her with new respect. "Brave, but Jason's right. These people don't make idle threats." "Then we fight back," Anna said. "Jason said he has evidence that could bring them down. Why not use it?" Sarah. And Jason exchanged a look. "It's not that simple," Sarah said. "The evidence is incomplete," Jason explained, "and turning it over means exposing myself, putting myself back on their radar permanently." "You're already on their radar," Anna pointed out. Jason ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. "We need to think this through carefully. One wrong move." "We?" Sarah asked, raising an eyebrow. "We?" Jason confirmed, looking at Anna with a mixture of resignation and something warmer. "I have a feeling Anna isn't going to let this go, even if I beg her to." Anna smiled grimly. "You got that right." Sarah looked between them, her expression unreadable. "Well," she said finally, "if we're really doing this, you both need to understand what we're up against. Let me show you." She reached into her medical bag and pulled out not medical supplies, but a thick file folder. "This is everything my father and I have gathered over the years about Blackwood and the organization he works for. It's not pretty." As Sarah laid out document after document on the kitchen table, Anna felt a mix of fear and determination. She'd come to Riverdale looking for answers about the mysterious farmer who had saved her life. Instead, she'd stumbled into something much bigger and much more dangerous. But looking at Jason's face, seeing the weight lift slightly from his shoulders as he realized he wasn't alone anymore, Anna knew she'd made the right choice. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The kitchen table was covered with documents, financial records, newspaper clippings, photographs, and handwritten notes. Sarah had organized everything meticulously, with color-coded tabs and highlights. "My father started gathering information on Blackwood and his associates nearly 15 years ago," she explained. "He was treating a farmhand who'd been injured on one of Blackwood's properties. The man told him about chemicals being dumped in a remote section of the farm, chemicals that made the workers sick." Jason nodded grimly. "That fits with what I found." Anna looked between them. "What exactly are we talking about here? What does Blackwood do?" Sarah pulled out a map of the county, pointing to several properties marked in red. "These are all owned by Blackwood Enterprises. On paper, they're normal farms or undeveloped land. In reality, they're fronts for a massive money laundering operation." "Money laundering?" Anna repeated, trying to wrap her head around it. Jason leaned forward. "Blackwood works for a group called the Meridian Consortium. On the surface, they're a legitimate investment firm. Underneath, they're one of the largest criminal organizations in the country. Drug trafficking, weapons, human smuggling, they do it all." "And they launder their money through farms?" Anna asked skeptically. "It's brilliant, actually," Sarah said. "They buy the land cheap, claim to develop it for agriculture, funnel millions through fake equipment purchases and non-existent crop sales, then sell the improved property for a legitimate profit." But where do you fit in? Anna asked Jason. How did you get involved? Jason's face darkened. I was their accountant. Anna couldn't hide her surprise. Their accountant? Financial consultant, Jason clarified. I specialized in complex international transactions for high-net-worth clients. The Meridian Consortium was my biggest client. Did you know what they were doing? Anna asked carefully. Jason met her gaze unflinchingly. Not at first. They were very good at compartmentalizing information, but I started noticing patterns, discrepancies. I asked questions. That was my first mistake. What happened? Anna asked softly. They gave me more access, brought me deeper into the organization, Jason said. Made me feel special, trusted. That was their way of controlling me, giving me enough information to make me complicit, but not enough to be a threat. Until you became a threat, Sarah added. Jason nodded. I had created a specialized accounting system for them, software that tracked every transaction across their entire network. It was supposed to help them hide their money better. Instead, I built in a back door that recorded everything. Evidence, Anna realized. Exactly, Jason confirmed. For 2 years, I gathered data, building an airtight case against them. I was working with the FBI, feeding them information slowly. Then they found out, Sarah said grimly. Jason's eyes grew distant. There was a meeting at one of their properties, a penthouse in Chicago. I was there with 5 of their top executives. Someone had tipped them off about a leak. They brought in a man, one of their accountants who worked under me. They accused him of being the informant. He stopped, his hands clenching into fists. On the table, you don't have to tell me, Anna said, placing her hand over his. Jason shook his head. You need to know what we're dealing with. He took a deep breath. They killed him right there in front of everyone, a warning to anyone who might betray them. Anna felt sick. My God. I knew I was next, Jason continued. They were already suspicious of me. That night I downloaded everything I could from their servers and ran. The next day my apartment exploded. They made it look like a gas leak. They thought you were dead, Sarah said. Until I surfaced here, Jason agreed. I knew from the files that Blackwood had hidden something important on the old Miller farm. Financial records, account numbers, client lists. Things even I didn't have access to. I had to get to it before they did. So you bought the farm, Anna said, understanding dawning. But why did Blackwood sell it to you? He didn't know who I was, Jason explained. I used a solid cover identity, paid well over asking price. By the time he realized who he'd sold to, it was too late. The property was mine. Have you found what they hid? Anna asked. Jason and Sarah exchanged looks. Pieces, Jason admitted, but not everything. Blackwood knows I'm looking. That's why he wants this land back so badly. Sarah stood up, moving to the window to check outside. We should move this conversation. It's not safe to stay in one place too long now that they've found you. Jason nodded, gathering the documents quickly. There's a place we can go, Anna. Are you sure you want to be part of this? It's not too late to walk away. Anna met his gaze steadily. I'm sure. 20 minutes later, they were in Jason's truck, bumping down a narrow dirt road that led deeper into his property, away from the main farm buildings. Sarah had left her car behind, concealed in Jason's barn, and now sat beside Anna in the truck's cab. Where are we going? Anna asked as they passed through a dense stand of trees. Somewhere Blackwood doesn't know about, Jason replied, his eyes scanning the road ahead. When I bought this place, I found an old hunting cabin on the far edge of the property. It's not on any of the official maps or surveys. The cabin, when they reached it, was small but sturdy, nestled against a hillside and surrounded by trees. Inside was simple. One main room with a fireplace, a small kitchenette, and what appeared to be a bedroom through a door at the back. It's not much, Jason said as they entered, but it's secure. No one knows about this place except me. And now you two. Sarah began setting up the documents on a rough wooden table while Jason checked the perimeter. Anna watched him through the window, struck by how different he seemed now, more alert, more confident. This was the real man, she realized, not the quiet farmer he'd pretended to be. When he returned, Jason caught her watching him and paused. What? Nothing, Anna said. It's just, you're different now. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "This is who I was before, not sure if that's good or bad. But it's just you," Anna said simply. "The real you." Something flickered in Jason's eyes. Gratitude, perhaps, or something deeper. Before he could respond, Sarah cleared her throat. "If you two are done with your moment, we have work to do." Anna felt her cheeks warm as she joined them at the table. Sarah had arranged the documents in a timeline, starting with Blackwood's earliest known connections to the Meridian Consortium. "The key is finding the complete client list," Sarah explained. "Names, account numbers, transactions. With that, we'd have enough to bring down the entire operation." "And you think it's hidden somewhere on the farm?" Anna asked. Jason nodded. "According to the partial data I already have, Blackwood converted a piece of the property into a secure storage facility about 10 years ago. The question is where? Could it be underground?" Anna suggested. "A bunker or cellar of some kind?" "That's what I've been thinking," Jason agreed. "I've searched every building on the property, checked for hidden compartments, false walls, nothing." Sarah pulled out a topographical map of the farm. "What about natural features? Caves, sinkholes, anything like that?" Jason studied the map. "There's an old dried-up well near the south boundary, and a section of the creek runs underground for about 50 yards near the east pasture." Anna leaned closer, noticing something. "What about this?" She pointed to a circular depression marked on the map. "It looks like a small pond or something." Jason's eyes widened. "The old stock pond. It dried up years ago, according to the previous owners. I never paid much attention to it because it's just a muddy pit now." "Perfect hiding place," Sarah said excitedly. "It would look completely natural on satellite imagery, but could conceal an entrance to an underground facility." Jason was already heading for the door. "We need to check it out." "Wait," Sarah said, grabbing his arm. "Not now, it's getting dark, and if Blackwood has people watching the farm, they'll see us." "She's right," Anna agreed. "We should wait until morning." Jason looked like he wanted to argue, but finally nodded. "First light, then." As night fell, they prepared for an uncomfortable stay at the cabin. Sarah found some canned food in the cupboards, and Jason got a fire going in the small fireplace. The atmosphere was tense but not unpleasant. 3 people united by a common purpose. After they'd eaten, Sarah announced she was going to get some rest. "I'll take the couch," she said. "You two can have the bedroom." "No, I'll take the couch," Jason said quickly. "You two can share the bed." Anna and Sarah exchanged awkward glances. "I'm fine on the couch," Anna offered. In the end, they put Sarah in the bedroom, while Jason insisted on keeping watch. Anna curled up on the worn couch with a blanket, watching the firelight play across Jason's face as he sat in a chair by the window. "You should get some sleep too," she said softly. Jason shook his head. "Someone needs to keep watch." Anna sat up, pulling the blanket around her shoulders. "Then I'll keep you company for a while." They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes before Anna spoke again. "Can I ask you something?" "Depends on the question," Jason replied, the hint of a smile in his voice. "What was your life like before all this?" Jason was quiet for so long that Anna thought he might not answer. Finally, he sighed. "Hollow. I had everything. Money, success, respect. But it was all empty. I worked 80-hour weeks, lived in a fancy apartment I barely saw, dated women I didn't have time to get to know." "Sounds lonely," Anna said. "It was," Jason admitted, "but I didn't realize how lonely until I came here. Until I had to start over with nothing but myself. And now, are you still lonely?" Jason turned to look at her, the firelight reflecting in his eyes. "Not at this moment." The air between them seemed to crackle with unspoken emotions. Anna felt herself drawn to him, this complicated man with his dual identities and hidden depths. "I should have stayed away from you," Jason said softly. "You deserve better than to be pulled into my mess." Anna moved closer to him, leaving the couch to kneel beside his chair. "Maybe I like your mess. Maybe I've been playing it too safe my whole life." "Anna," Jason's voice was rough with emotion. "You don't know what you're saying." "I know exactly what I'm saying," she replied, reaching up to touch his face. "When my car crashed and I thought I was going to die, My biggest regret was all the chances I never took. I don't want to have that regret again." Jason's hand covered hers against his cheek. "This isn't just about taking chances. These people are dangerous. If anything happened to you because of me, it's my choice," Anna insisted. "My risk to take." Their faces were inches apart now, both drawn by a pull that seemed inevitable since the moment they'd met. Slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, Jason lowered his head until his lips met hers. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, but quickly deepened as years of Jason's isolation and Anna's careful restraint melted away. His hands cradled her face as if she were something precious, something he feared might break. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing heavily, Jason rested his forehead against hers. "I've wanted to do that since I saw you sitting at my kitchen table," he confessed. Anna smiled, her heart racing. "Even when I was bruised and battered?" "Especially then," Jason said. "You were so strong, so determined, even when you were hurt. It was impressive." The sound of a door opening made them jump apart. Sarah stood in the bedroom doorway, her expression unreadable as she took in their closeness, the intimate atmosphere. "Sorry to interrupt," she said, her voice carefully neutral, "but I thought I heard something outside." Jason was immediately alert, moving to the window with his hand on his gun. "Where?" "Near the trees to the east," Sarah said, coming to stand beside him. "Could have been an animal, but we can't take that chance," Jason finished. He turned to Anna. "Stay inside, away from the windows. Sarah, there's another gun in the cabinet by the sink. Take it." Anna watched as Sarah retrieved the weapon, with practiced ease, checking its magazine with expert movements. "You know how to shoot?" she asked, surprised. "My father taught me," Sarah explained. "Living this far out, it's a necessary skill." Jason was already moving to the door. "I'm going to check the perimeter. If I'm not back in 15 minutes, or if you hear shooting, take the truck and go. The keys are in the visor." "We're not leaving you," Sarah said firmly. "She's right," Anna agreed. "We're in this together now." Jason looked like he wanted to argue, but simply nodded. "Stay alert and stay together." After he slipped out into the darkness, Sarah turned to Anna. "So," she said quietly, "you and Jason." Anna wasn't sure how to respond. We... Sarah held up a hand. "You don't need to explain. I've seen the way he looks at you. I've never seen him look at anyone that way before." There was no hostility in her voice, just a kind of resigned acceptance that made Anna feel both relieved and guilty. "I thought, you and he..." Anna began hesitantly. Sarah gave a sad smile. "I wanted there to be something. For 3 years I've been here for him, tried to help him heal, but he never saw me that way. And now I understand why." "Why?" Anna couldn't help asking. "Because he was waiting for someone who would choose to be part of his world, not someone who was thrust into it by circumstance," Sarah said. "Someone brave, enough to face the danger with him instead of helping him hide from it." Before Anna could respond, the sound of a gunshot shattered the night. Both women froze, then rushed to the window. Another shot rang out, followed by the sound of breaking glass as a bullet smashed through the cabin window. "Get down," Sarah shouted, pushing Anna to the floor. They crawled toward the back of the cabin as more shots came, wood splintering as bullets tore through the walls. "We need to get out of here," Sarah gasped, reaching for her phone. "I'll call the sheriff." "Will he help?" Anna asked, flinching as another bullet hit the cabin. "Davis is one of the few people my father trusted," Sarah explained, dialing quickly. "He knows some of what's going on, but not everything." While Sarah made the call, Anna peered cautiously around the edge of the window, trying to spot Jason in the darkness. Her heart pounded with fear for him, out there alone against who knew how many attackers. Then she saw movement, a figure running toward the cabin from the trees. It was Jason, zigzagging to avoid being hit. "He's coming back!" Anna cried. As they watched, Jason stumbled, falling to one knee before struggling back to his feet. Even in the dim moonlight, Anna could see the dark stains spreading across his sleeve. "He's hurt," she gasped, already moving toward the door. Sarah caught her arm. "You can't go out there. They'll shoot you too." "I'm not leaving him out there." Anna pulled free, grabbing the truck keys from the visor. She had a plan, risky but better than waiting for Jason to be gunned down. "Cover me from the window," she told Sarah. "When I flash the truck lights, have Jason run for the passenger side." Before Sarah could protest further, Anna slipped out the back door of the cabin, staying low as she circled around to where the truck was parked. Gunshots continued to ring out, but they were focused on the front of the cabin and the area where Jason was pinned down. Reaching the truck, Anna slid into the driver's seat and started the engine. Headlights off, she carefully backed up, positioning the vehicle for a quick escape. Then, taking a deep breath, she flashed the lights twice and gunned the engine. Driving straight toward where Jason was crouched behind a fallen log, bullets pinged off the truck's body as she skidded to a stop beside him. Jason seemed to understand, immediately rising and diving for the passenger door as Sarah provided covering fire from the cabin window. "Go!" Jason shouted as he tumbled into the seat, blood streaming from a wound in his left arm. Anna didn't need to be told twice. She slammed the accelerator, driving straight toward the tree line where the gunfire was coming from. The shooters scattered as the truck barreled toward them, giving Anna the opening she needed to swerve onto a narrow trail that led deeper into the woods. "Sarah," Anna gasped, realizing they'd left her behind. "She'll be okay," Jason assured her, grimacing in pain as he pressed his hand to his wounded arm. "She has her car hidden in the barn, remember? And she called Davis. He'll make sure she's safe." "But what about us?" Anna asked, struggling to see the trail in the darkness, branches scraping against the truck's sides. "Head for the creek crossing," Jason directed. "We can double back to the farm from there. I need to get something before we leave." "Leave? Where are we going?" Jason's face was grim in the dim dashboard light. "Anywhere but here. Blackwood knows where I've been hiding now. It's not safe anymore." "But what about the evidence, the client list?" "It will have to wait," Jason said, checking the rearview mirror for pursuers. "Right now, we need to focus on staying alive." As they bumped along the rough trail, Anna's mind raced with questions and fears. In just a few short days, her life had been completely upended. She'd gone from a car accident victim to a woman on the run from dangerous criminals, all because she'd been saved by a mysterious farmer who turned out to be so much more. Yet despite the danger, despite the bullets and the blood, Anna couldn't bring herself to regret coming back to Riverdale. Looking at Jason beside her, wounded, but still fighting, she knew she was exactly where she needed to be. "Almost there," Jason said as they approached a shallow section of the creek. "Once we cross, we'll be on the main part of the farm. We'll grab what we need from the house and take your rental car. They won't be looking for that." "And then what?" Anna asked. Jason reached across the seat with his good hand, taking hers. "Then we find a way to end this once and for all." The truck splashed through the creek, water spraying up on both sides as they emerged on the other bank. In the distance, they could see the lights of the farmhouse, a beacon guiding them home. But home, Anna realized, wasn't a place anymore. It was this man beside her, this complicated, wounded, brave man who had saved her life and then allowed her to save his. Whatever came next, they would face it together. As the farmhouse grew closer, however, Anna's blood ran cold. Parked in the driveway were 3 black SUVs, their sleek shapes unmistakable even in the darkness. "Jason," she whispered, slowing the truck. "We've got company." Jason cursed under his breath, eyes scanning the scene. "Blackwood's men. They're waiting for us. What do we do now?" Jason's face hardened with determination. "We find another way. There's always another way." As they sat there, hidden in the shadows of the trees, watching the men searching the farmhouse, Anna realized that her adventure was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. Anna and Jason sat in tense silence, watching Blackwood's men move through the farmhouse, flashlight beams bouncing off windows as they searched every room. Jason's wounded arm had stopped bleeding, but his face was pale in the moonlight, jaw clenched against the pain. "We need to get you to a doctor," Anna whispered. Jason shook his head. "Not yet. First, we need what's in that house." "What exactly are we looking for?" "My laptop," Jason replied. "It has encrypted copies of all the evidence I've gathered. Without it, we have nothing." Anna studied the scene, counting 6 men around the house. "There's too many of them. We need help." As if on cue, her phone vibrated. She pulled it out to find a text from an unknown number. "It's Sarah. Sheriff Davis is with me. Where are you?" Anna showed Jason the message. He nodded. Tell her we're at the edge of the north field watching the house. Blackwood's men are inside. After. Anna sent the message. The reply came quickly. Stay put. Davis has called for backup from the state police. 20 minutes. 20 minutes is a long time when they're tearing your house apart, Jason muttered, wincing as he shifted his injured arm. Anna squeezed his hand. They don't know what they're looking for, we do. Jason managed a small smile. Always the optimist. One of us has to be, Anna replied. Where exactly is the laptop? Hidden in a compartment under the kitchen floorboards, under the pantry. Anna watched as two of Blackwood's men emerged from the house, speaking into radios. They're coordinating something, probably calling for reinforcements too. We can't wait for the police, Jason decided. By then Blackwood himself will be here, and the laptop will be gone. So what's the plan? Jason pointed to the barn, barely visible in the darkness beyond the house. There's a tunnel, dug during Prohibition, runs from the barn to the root cellar under the kitchen. The entrance is hidden under the hay bales in the back corner. Anna raised her eyebrows. Of course there's a secret tunnel. Why am I not surprised? Despite the tension, Jason chuckled. The previous owners were creative, used to smuggle whiskey, and now we're using it. To smuggle evidence, Anna said. How do we get to the barn without being seen? Jason nodded toward a row of apple trees that ran along the edge of the property. We circle around through the orchard. The barn's back door faces away from the house. Anna started the truck again, keeping the headlights off as she carefully backed up and turned around. They drove slowly until they reached the orchard, where they left the truck hidden among the trees. On foot, they made their way through the orchard, staying low and moving quietly. Jason's breathing was labored, his injured arm held tight against his chest, but he kept pace with Anna. At the edge of the trees, they paused, surveying the distance to the barn. About 50 yards of open ground separated them from safety. In the moonlight, they would be completely exposed. We'll have to make a run for it, Jason whispered. When I say go. They waited, watching the men around the house. Two had moved to the front porch, smoking cigarettes and talking quietly. The others were still inside. Now, Jason said, and they sprinted across the open ground, feet pounding on the soft earth. Anna's heart hammered in her chest, every second expecting to hear shouts of discovery, gunshots. But they reached the barn's back door without incident. Slipping inside to the welcomed darkness, the barn smelled of hay and livestock. Though Jason had sold his few animals weeks ago, sensing trouble was coming. He led Anna to the far corner, where large hay bales were stacked against the wall. Help me move these, he whispered. Together they pushed aside two heavy bales, revealing a trapdoor set into the floor. Jason lifted it, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. I'll go first, he said, pulling a small flashlight from his pocket. The tunnel was low and narrow, forcing them to crouch as they moved forward. The air was stale, heavy with the scent of earth and time. After about 50 yards, they reached another set of stairs leading up to a second trapdoor. This opens into the root cellar, Jason explained. From there, we can access the kitchen. He pushed against the trapdoor but winced in pain, his injured arm unable to bear the weight. Let me, Anna said, moving past him. She pushed upward, the trapdoor lifting with a groan of old hinges. Anna peeked through the opening. The root cellar was dark and quiet, shelves of preserved fruits and vegetables lining the walls. She climbed up, helping Jason follow. The kitchen's just up those stairs, Jason whispered, pointing to a wooden staircase in the corner. They ascended quietly, emerging into the kitchen through a door beside the pantry. The house was eerily quiet, but they could hear muffled voices from the front rooms. They've already searched the kitchen, Jason said, moving quickly to the pantry. He knelt, pulling back a small rug to reveal a section of floorboard that looked identical to the rest. With practiced movements, he pressed a hidden latch, and a section of the floor popped up. From the hidden compartment, Jason retrieved a slim laptop and a small external hard drive. This is it, he said, his voice tight with tension and pain. Everything I've gathered on the Meridian Consortium, their entire operation. Suddenly, footsteps sounded in the hallway coming toward the kitchen. Jason quickly closed the compartment and replaced the rug, then grabbed Anna's hand, pulling her toward the root cellar door. They had just reached it when a man entered the kitchen, his back to them as he spoke into a radio. "Nothing on the second floor. Checking the kitchen again. Anna?" And Jason froze, pressed against the wall beside the door. The man moved further into the kitchen, still facing away from them. Jason motioned for Anna to slip through the door first. She did, moving as silently as possible. Jason followed, easing the door closed just as the man turned around. They rushed down the stairs and back into the tunnel, not stopping until they reached the barn again. As they emerged, they heard the sudden wail of police sirens in the distance. "Backup's arriving," Anna said, relieved. Jason clutched the laptop to his chest. "We need to get this somewhere." "Safe?" They peered out the barn door. Blackwood's men were in disarray, some rushing to their vehicles while others took defensive positions around the house. "There," Anna pointed to where Sheriff Davis's cruiser was pulling up, followed by 3 state police vehicles. She recognized Sarah in the passenger seat of the sheriff's car. "Perfect timing," Jason said. As they watched, Sheriff Davis emerged from his vehicle, weapon drawn. "This is the police," he shouted. "Lay down your weapons and put your hands in the air." Instead of complying, one of Blackwood's men opened fire. The night erupted in gunfire as the police took cover and returned fire. "We need to get to Davis," Jason said, scanning for a path through the chaos. But before they could move, a voice came from behind them. "I think not, Mr. Everett." They turned to find Richard Blackwood standing in the barn's back doorway, a pistol in his hand, his silver hair gleaming in the dim light. How he'd circled around behind them while his men engaged the police, Anna couldn't guess. "You've been a thorn in my side for far too long," Blackwood said, his voice cold. "Always one step ahead, but not anymore." "It's over, Blackwood," Jason said, straightening to his full height despite his injury. "The police are here. Your men are outnumbered." Blackwood smiled thinly. "A minor inconvenience. By the time they sort through this mess, we'll be long gone, along with that laptop." "You won't get away with this," Anna said, anger overcoming her fear. "Too many people know the truth now." "Do they?" Blackwood asked, his eyes flicking to her. "What they know are fragments, rumors. Without the evidence on that computer, it's all just speculation." Outside, the gunfire had stopped. Someone was speaking through a megaphone, ordering the remaining men to surrender. "You're out of time," Jason said. "And out of options." Blackwood's face hardened. "Give me the laptop or I'll shoot the woman first, then you." Jason's eyes met Anna's for a brief moment, a silent communication passing between them. Then he slowly held out the laptop. "Take it. Just let her go." "Jason, no!" Anna protested. "Smart choice," Blackwood said, stepping forward to grab the laptop. But as he reached for it, Jason suddenly lunged, shoving the laptop into Blackwood's chest while grabbing for the gun. The 2 men struggled, the gun waving wildly between them. Anna acted instinctively, grabbing a pitchfork from the wall and swinging it at Blackwood. The handle struck him across the shoulders, causing him to stumble. The gun discharged, the bullet splintering the wooden beam above them. Jason wrenched the weapon from Blackwood's hand, turning it on him. "It's over," he said again, his breathing heavy. "On your knees. Now." Blackwood's face contorted with rage, but he complied, sinking to his knees as Jason kept the gun trained on him. "Anna," Jason said, not taking his eyes off Blackwood, "get the laptop and go find Sheriff Davis. Tell him we have both Blackwood and the evidence." Anna retrieved the laptop from where it had fallen and rushed to the barn door. Outside, the situation had calmed, with several of Blackwood's men in handcuffs being led to police vehicles. "Sheriff Davis," she called, waving her arms. "In here." "Davis!" Spotted her and hurried over, Sarah close behind. "Are you all right?" Sarah asked, embracing Anna quickly. "Jason's inside with Blackwood," Anna explained breathlessly. "He's got him at gunpoint." Davis entered the barn, weapon ready, but the scene was under control. Jason stood over Blackwood, gun steady despite his injured arm. "Richard Blackwood," Davis said formally. "You're under arrest for conspiracy, attempted murder, and about a dozen other charges I'll enjoy reading to you downtown." As Davis handcuffed Blackwood and led him out, Sarah rushed to examine Jason's wound. "You need a hospital," she said firmly. "This needs proper treatment." "The laptop first," Jason insisted. "We need to secure it." "I'll take care of it," new voice said. They turned to see a woman in a dark suit entering the barn, flanked by two men in similar attire. She held up a badge. "Agent Melissa Carter, FBI. We've been working with Sheriff Davis for the past year, building a case against the Meridian Consortium. You're the one who contacted me," Jason realized. "After I went into hiding," Agent Carter nodded. "We never stopped looking for you, Mr. Everett, or the evidence you collected. When Sarah reached out to one of our field offices about unusual activity around Riverdale, we connected the dots." Sarah smiled sheepishly. "I've been feeding them information for months. My father taught me well." "The laptop has everything," Jason said, handing it to Agent Carter. "Account numbers, client lists, transaction records. Every illegal operation the consortium has run for the past decade. This will put them away for a very long time," Agent Carter said, securing the laptop in an evidence bag, "including Blackwood. There's more," Jason added. "Hidden somewhere on this property is a physical backup. Additional files that Blackwood stored here years ago. That's why he wanted the farm back so badly." "Any idea where?" Agent Carter asked. Anna suddenly remembered their conversation at the bee cabin. "The old stock pond," she said. "We were going to check it this morning before we were attacked." Agent Carter nodded to her colleagues. "Get a team out there at first light." She turned back to Jason. "Now, let's get you to a hospital." Biesmeyer, the next few days passed in a blur of statements, interviews, and medical treatments. Jason's wound, while painful, wasn't life-threatening. He was released from the hospital after 2 days with strict instructions to rest. The FBI, with Jason's help, located the hidden bunker beneath the dried-up stock pond. Inside was a treasure trove of physical evidence, documents, photos, and hard drives containing decades of the consortium's secrets. Richard Blackwood and several high-ranking members of the Meridian Consortium were arrested in coordinated raids across 3 states. The news made national headlines: "Criminal empire toppled by whistleblower and small-town allies." Anna extended her leave from work, staying in Riverdale to help Jason recover and to testify as needed. They stayed at the Henderson's Inn since Jason's farmhouse was still being processed as a crime scene. A week after the confrontation at the barn, Anna and Jason sat on the inn's front porch, watching the sunset. Jason's arm was in a sling, but his color had returned along with his strength. "Agent Carter says they've arrested over 30 people connected to the consortium," Anna said. "All thanks to your evidence." Jason shook his head. "Not just my evidence. I couldn't have done it without you and Sarah." "Speaking of Sarah," Anna said, "have you talked to her?" "Yesterday," Jason replied. "She's been offered a position with the FBI's medical division. I think she's going to take it." "She deserves it," Anna said sincerely. "She's brave and smart, and she cares deeply about doing what's right. Like someone else I know," Jason said, his eyes on Anna. Anna felt her cheeks warm. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Jason disagreed. "Most people would have run as far from danger as possible. You ran toward it, for me." "For us," Anna corrected. "Whatever this is between us, it felt worth fighting for." Jason reached for her hand, his fingers twining with hers. "And now? With the danger past?" "Now," Anna said slowly, "I'm thinking about the future." "What does that future look like?" Jason asked, his voice hopeful but uncertain. Anna smiled. "Well, I still have 4 weeks of leave from my job. That's enough time to help a certain farmer fix up his house after it was ransacked by criminals. And after those 4 weeks," Anna took a deep breath, "I've been thinking about a change of career anyway. Maybe something less corporate, more meaningful. Riverdale has a nice little real estate office that's hiring. The commute would be short if I lived on, say, a beautiful farm just outside town." Jason's face broke into a smile that transformed him, erasing the last traces of the guarded man she'd first met. "Are you saying you want to stay here with me? Is that too forward?" Anna asked, suddenly nervous. "I know we haven't known each other long, but after everything we've been through," Jason silenced her with a kiss, gentle but filled with promise. When they parted, his eyes were bright with emotion. "Time is measured differently when you've faced death together," he said. "And I've never been more certain of anything than I am of my feelings for you, Anna Miller." Even though I'm a complication, she teased, referencing his earlier words. The best kind of complication, Jason assured her, kissing her again. The kind that makes life worth living. From the inn's doorway, Mrs. Henderson watched them with a knowing smile before slipping back inside to give them privacy. By morning, the news of their blossoming romance would be all over town, but for once, neither of them minded being the subject of Riverdale's gossip. 2 months later, the farmhouse had been fully restored, even improved with touches that reflected both Jason's practical nature and Anna's warmer aesthetics. Anna had settled into her new job at Riverdale Real Estate, discovering she had a talent for helping people find their perfect homes. Jason, with his name finally cleared and his testimony complete, had decided to keep the farm but convert most of it to an organic operation that employed local workers at fair wages. It was his way of giving back to the community that had unknowingly sheltered him during his years in hiding. On a perfect autumn evening, they hosted a dinner at the farmhouse for their closest friends: Sarah, home for a visit from her FBI training, Sheriff Davis and his wife, the Hendersons, and even Mabel from the diner, who had brought 3 different pies, just to be safe. After dinner, as their guests chatted in the living room, Jason pulled Anna aside, leading her out onto the porch, where golden sunset light bathed the fields in warmth. "I have something for you," he said, reaching into his pocket and pulling out a small velvet box. Anna's heart skipped a beat. "Jason." He opened the box to reveal not a ring, but a key, simple, brass, tied with a small ribbon. "It's yours," he said softly. "All of it, the house, the farm, every part of my life, if you want it." Anna took the key, tears springing to her eyes. "It's perfect," she whispered. "I know it's not a ring," Jason said, looking uncharacteristically nervous. "How's it?" "That will come when you're ready, when we're both ready. But I wanted you to know that this is your home now as much as it is mine." Anna closed her hand around the key, feeling its weight, its promise. "Home isn't about a place," she said. "It's about the person you share it with." Jason pulled her close, his arms strong and secure around her. "When I pulled you from that wrecked car, I thought I was saving your life," he murmured against her hair. "I never imagined you'd end up saving mine." From inside the house came the sounds of laughter and conversation, the warmth of friendship and community. Beyond the porch, the fields stretched golden into the distance, promising a future as vast and full of possibility as the land itself. Anna leaned into Jason's embrace, feeling for the first time in her life that she was exactly where she belonged. With this man in this place, she had found not just love, but a purpose, a home, a life worth living. "Some secrets," she said softly, "are worth saving, and some are worth sharing." Jason's answer was a kiss, gentle and deep, sealing their promise. Under the vast country sky, as day turned softly into evening and summer eased into fall, and 2 separate lives became, at last, one shared journey. The end.